สวัสดีครับ I'm Point from ค้นพบ I'm really excited to be talking about this week's topic because I believe that it has enormous potential to really free you and liberate you from the past. And the topic is simply that your past does not have to determine your future. But before we begin to unpack this topic, I want to split this into two parts. So today in part one, we will explore how and why we get stuck in the past. We unintentionally get trapped in the past, and how we perhaps unconsciously create unhelpful, create limiting beliefs around it, create a whole sense of identification with the story of what happened, and how, although these things may serve you in some way, shape, or form, that it often comes at a very, very heavy cost, heavy price. And that price is your own happiness and freedom. And therefore, in part two, we will then explore ways to overcome this and ways to rewrite, per se, reinterpret the memories of the past in a way that actually serves you rather than holds you back and disempowers you and limits you. Okay? So, the past does not have to define your future, does not have to determine your future. Obviously, it is undeniable that most of us, actually, it would even be more accurate to say that pretty much every single one of us, all of us, have experienced some form of injustice before, some form of wrongdoing before, mistreatment before, abuse before, betrayal before. Perhaps somebody betrayed you. Perhaps somebody or some group of people or some organization wronged you or your loved ones in some way, shape, or form. Wronged you, mistreated you, took advantage of you, betrayed you, and the list goes on. Perhaps the story or the event was about a relationship, an intimate romantic relationship, where your partner abused your trust and betrayed you or cheated on you, and that obviously was a very, very hurtful event. Perhaps it was a family relationship dynamic or a friendship dynamic where you feel that somehow your family or your friend let you down, betrayed you, or turned their backs on you and your family. Perhaps it was a context of a business relationship, a partnership perhaps, where your partner stole from you or cheated from you or took something from you. Perhaps it was the relationship in a working context, in a professional working relationship, where your coworker, which you trusted and looked up to, was doing something behind your back and was sabotaging you in some way, shape, or form. Whatever it may be, I'm sure we all have our own experiences and our fair share of stories. I certainly have mine too as well. And understandably, for some of us, perhaps you have experienced this often and much more than you would like. And understandably, in some cases for some of us, these wrongdoings, these mistreatments, these abuses, these injustices, right, were very severe and very serious in nature, such that they really did lead to severe consequences and led to serious changes in one's life. And the point is, this is not to deny what happened. This is not to downplay what happened. This is not to push it aside, to water it down. This is not to say that it is insignificant or that it doesn't matter. Of course, the past happened. The past is the past. This is not to deny the circumstances of what happened, right? And if you have experienced something very serious before, then my heart goes out to you and I extend my empathy to you. But the point is, let's look at the situation for what it really is today, right? Let's look at what's going on today and how the circumstance or the story or the memory of the past misfortune, how it causes you to suffer, Let's look at the mechanism at play. Take it apart and look at it for what it is. So, again, the past happened. But today, in the present moment, if you think about it, all you really have is a memory about what happened, correct? So the first observation that I want to propose here is, how do you hold on to that memory? How do you make sense of the memory of the story of what happened? What is your attitude towards it? What is your perception of it? What is your belief around it? How do you look at it? How do you hold on to it? Do you hold on to the memory of what happened in a way where it serves to make you feel a sense of victimization, where it serves to make you feel that you were a victim to the circumstance, that you have fallen victim to the actions that somebody did some wrongdoing to you and your loved ones? Okay? The quality in how you hold on to that memory. Does it, perhaps, make you feel that your sense of identity is tied to this memory? Notice that? In other words, do you identify with the memory of what happened, such that the circumstance, the wrongdoing, the injustice of the past event now defines who you are? It becomes part of your sense of self-identity. Notice that. And notice how, if there's a dynamic where you hold on to the memory of what happened in this way, then we could say that in one sense, the memory no longer becomes just a memory. It's no longer just facts of what happened, but it becomes much bigger than that. As you think about it again, it's, in one sense, you relive it, and it becomes and feels so real. Again, this is not to deny what's happening here, but let's look at it for what it is. So, if you look at the past circumstance through the lens or through your belief systems, which is nothing more than a habit of interpretation. In other words, you're giving meaning to it in one type of way, in one particular way, over and over again until it becomes a habit of perception. Notice how, if that's the case, then now there's a dynamic of attachment to it as well. Notice that attachment there. The attachment to feel that somehow life circumstances wronged you, and therefore you are a victim to it. And the second thing I want to point out is, let's consider why there is a need to hold on to the memory in such a way. How does it serve you? Because it must be serving you in some way, shape, or form, right? Otherwise, why would you hold on to it that way? Perhaps, for example, it serves you in explaining your current life circumstance. Perhaps it serves you in explaining why you are sad today, why you feel miserable today, because of the circumstance of what happened all those months and years ago. Perhaps there's a need to explain yourself today, and that's why you hold on to it. Or perhaps that sense of feeling victim by somebody else's wrongdoing or by some life circumstance, there is an attachment there, because if we're really looking at it for what it is, it helps you to feel a sense of moral superiority. Because by definition, if somebody did some wrong to you, then they are the bad guy and you are the good guy because you are innocent. You fell victim to them, and therefore they owe you something. Life owes you something. So it's completely understandable why somebody would look on or hold on to these memories in such a way. And this is not to deny how they serve you. But think about the cost for a moment. Think about the cost. Think about the implication of what's going on here. By definition, if we feel a sense of victimization by life's circumstances, then by definition, you are literally giving your power away, because you are literally now saying that the only thing that can free you from this jail of suffering or liberate you from this jail of suffering is if that person atones or makes up for their wrongdoing. because life wronged you, so now life owes you something. But you notice how looking at the situation in this way is essentially giving your power away. And therefore, in a counterintuitive twist, the truth of the matter is life has a unique twist on things. And the truth that one must first accept if one is to liberate and free oneself, it may sound distasteful at first, but bear with me here. If we really look at it and contemplate it and appreciate what's going on here, then we will begin to see that it is actually really empowering. And the truth that one must accept is this: nobody can free you or liberate you but yourself. No outer circumstance, no outer situation, no outer person, no external group of people, no external organization can liberate you or free you except for yourself. Isn't that interesting? Nobody can make you happy except for you. Nobody can make you suffer except for you. But accepting this truth at first, as I said, it may seem really unfair, right? What do you mean? Because that begs the question, well, does that mean that that person who did wrong to me all those years ago, they get to walk free? No, it doesn't mean that. They will have to face the consequences of their own actions. But from your perspective, this conversation is about you and what you can do to free yourself from past circumstances and from the suffering that you continue to have today. Okay. This means accepting that nobody is responsible for your state of mind except for you. But it's empowering because it also means that nobody has the ability or the capability or the power to take charge and take control except for you yourself. And once you start to understand that you have much more power here than you realize, then you will be encouraged to consider how to do this, how to free yourself. If you understand that power always lies in your hands through your choice that you have in each and every moment, irrespective or despite the circumstance or the situation or what happened in the past, the choice to free yourself always lies in you. The choice in how to make sense of what happened in a more helpful, empowering way always lies in you. Then you will begin to be more interested in taking back power. You're no longer going to give your power away to life's circumstances, to that person who wronged you, because you realize that you have the ability to liberate yourself from the story of what happened. In other words, you take responsibility for your emotions, your perceptions, your way of thinking, your attitude, and your beliefs around it. And you begin to ask the question, how does your belief about the story of what happened, how does it serve you? How does it limit you? What does it cost you? And you begin to challenge and change that. And in this process is really empowering because you will find a deep sense of meaning and fulfillment in learning about what this all means, in learning about how to free yourself from past circumstances, no matter how brutal or how unfair or how unjust they may have been. You see that? And we'll talk about that in next week's video. But I want to really leave you in part 1 with this food for thought. Ask yourself, in whatever domain of life where you feel that the past did something wrong to you and it therefore limits you in some way, shape, or form, I want you to begin to ask yourself, why is there a need to look at the situation in the way that you currently are? How does it serve you? How does it serve you? Without needing to judge yourself for it, without needing to judge anything, okay? How does the past, even though you may feel a sense of victimization by it, even though you may feel a sense of disempowerment by it, how does that belief, that perception, how does it serve you? Then ask the next question. What does it cost you? What does this belief system that I hold about the circumstance of what happened, what does it cost you? And ask yourself, who has the power to truly free yourself from that past circumstance, and therefore free yourself from the suffering that you have today, whether you realize it or not. Ask yourself these 3 questions. How does that belief serve you? What does it cost you? And who has the power to free you? And what must you do in order to take back power and take back control and free yourself from it? And we'll continue on this topic in part 2 in next week's video. But again, I want to reiterate and emphasize that this is not about denying what happened. This is not about pushing it aside and saying that what happened is insignificant. It doesn't matter. Not at all. I totally understand and extend my empathy and my heart out to you. But the thing is, this is about self-empowerment. This is about understanding that nobody has the ability to dictate how you should feel until you allow them to. This is about understanding that nobody has the power to dictate your state of mind until you believe that they can. And this is a story of your self-empowerment and the journey of who you would become, who you could be if you took your attention and removed it from outside circumstances, say blaming past circumstances, blaming that person, blaming life situations, and take that power back. Take that focus back on yourself and ask yourself your current state of mind in relation to it. And what can you do to really take back power and control and free yourself and empower yourself? Once you begin to ask this question, I guarantee you it will be very fun for you, and you will enjoy the process of learning, the process of growth, the meaning and the fulfillment to be found in it. Okay? And we'll continue on next week's video. I hope this shed some food for thought. I hope it was valuable for you, and stay tuned for next week. Thanks for watching. สวัสดีครับ